Hi everyone, today let's go over Snap earnings. Then we'll go over the charts for today, and then we'll go over my current positions and what I'm looking for going into tomorrow. If you like trading stocks and options and making money, definitely like and subscribe. I've been making videos like this every single day, so make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Welcome to the Portfolio Bulletin. Let's get started. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, but the stock did go down more than 20% on a revenue miss, so the company is authorizing some stock buybacks, $50 million worth. They did beat earnings per share on an adjusted basis, but the stock still tanked. See down more than 20%. We'll look at that on the charts as well. 8% adjusted earnings. Revenue just about the same as what was expected. Daily user growth is up, so there's still a little bit of a growth story here, but the big thing was net loss was 400% higher at $360 million due to a restructuring of debt of $155 million. Daily users continues to grow, so that's still good. The company is going to fire 6,000 employees as part of the restructuring plan, so it seems like they're going to make the company a little bit leaner, try to make them a little bit more profitable. Definitely goes with the current plan of the stock market. People want to see profits, they don't want to see growth stories so much anymore, and that seems to be what Snap is going to try to get after going forward. I also mentioned the company has about $4.4 billion in cash or cash equivalents on hand, so they can buy back some of this stock, which might provide a little bit of a bottom here in Snap. And they also mentioned that they're going to do a Snapchat Plus or a subscription service and try to make a little bit of money, and that would be at $4 a month. Moving over to the charts here, we have Snap on the 4-hour chart. You can see that huge leg down, jumped up to $12 for just a second, and then went all the way down to $8. The stock has been crushed. This was an $80 stock at one point, way up here at the highs. So it's down 90% from its highs. Definitely not a stock worth looking into right now. You could maybe argue that it's pretty oversold, but yeah, bad earnings, definitely not a great time to be buying Snap stock. Definitely would want to see some kind of consolidation and maybe a move up, but I don't think that's going to happen for quite a while. In terms of implications, of course, this stock is in the NASDAQ, so that's going to pull the NASDAQ down a little bit, and we'll take a look at that later. Moving over to SPY, you can see we did kind of break below that neckline, definitely making me kind of nervous here. Just below the 144 EMA, the structure seems to be breaking down a little bit. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Fridays have been historically bad, so Fridays are usually down days. Definitely not the structure I would want to see going into a Friday. So that's something I'll be keeping my eye on. If this breaks down tomorrow, definitely going to be looking to close all my long positions, trying to save as much money as possible. But right now, this looks pretty weak. And if we get that move down, close up all those longs and wait for some bottoming. Moving over to the NASDAQ, surprisingly, this doesn't look as weak. Still have that similar structure right inside that wedge. We did get a bit of a breakout. Probably should have taken some profits here. I did not, unfortunately, but we're still in that structure. There's potential we can get that breakout still. If this does break down, same thing as SPY, definitely be looking for more downside. Possibly a retest of the lows down here at 162 or lower, maybe down all the way to the lows at 255. A lot of room here to the downside, certainly possible. So definitely going to be paying close attention to the markets in the early day, something I should have done better today. Moving over to IWM, this is continuing to slide, making lower lows. Kind of a bull flag looking structure, but we did break this trend line, which is bearish. Slight perk right here at the end of the day, possibly into a retest into that 170 range. If I get up here, honestly, I'll probably be looking to take off those positions for as little of a loser as I can, rolling down those covered calls just to try to collect as much credit as possible, as I would expect this top resistance to hold, and then I would expect a lower low somewhere in the 167 range. Doesn't look as bullish as it did on the previous 2 days, unfortunately. Moving over to LULU, still hanging in there at the 293 range. Did come down a little bit from 296, about a 1% move down. Still stronger than most of the indices out there. The stock continues to hold up in this range. Support is still down here at about 285, so if we do get a move down into the 285 range, that'd be a good spot to sell some puts, in my opinion. That price range has held for quite a while. You can see we tested it here in the middle of September, got that huge bounce, came back and retested down here in that same range at the end of September. And then if we get a retest down here, I do expect that to hold one more time. But right now, again, still looks pretty weak. Have a couple of wicks here to the upside. We can extend this out here now. That would give us a price target in that 303 range, which is where we were the previous 2 days when we got rejected. Moving over here to Trade Desk, I do like this stock still, but we did have a big sympathy move down. This is an ad space business, and due to Snap going down, that generally is a trigger for most ad businesses to move downwards. I still think this is in a better position than Snap. Obviously, it's a better company. This does not look as good now since it did kind of fall out of this trading range here. There's still solid support down here at the $47 range, in my opinion, based on the long-term charts that we had going back here. And then if we do get into that $40 range, there's definitely a lot of buying pressure within that $41 range. But right now, this definitely looks significantly weaker than it did going into the start of the week. Moving over to a new stock here, we got Salesforce. This company has been rallying over the last couple of weeks. This is the 1-hour chart, and you can see we have a pretty decent bullish structure. Nice little cup and handle style move. The big gap in it. Seems like we might come down and fill that gap. That's definitely something that I'm paying attention to. If we do get a retest of that 144 EMA, which is at the same price as a 55 EMA, right at that 149.50 range, that would be a pretty good buying opportunity in my opinion. Salesforce has sold off quite a bit, just about as much as some of these other high growth companies. The stock was over $300 at one point. Now it's trading for about half of that at 156. And like I mentioned, we could get all the way down to 150 or so. But of course, that's not as low as things like Snap, which are down 90%. So still good business in my opinion. Something to pay attention to. Definitely keep an eye on momentum right here. You can see the RSI is sloping down, so we're losing strength. And we do have the cross here on the MACD, so still bearish in the short term. But definitely one to keep an eye on. It's definitely been outperforming the major indices here, especially in the short term. Moving over to the dollar, this is my major hope for a rally in stocks. You can see we had that big wick to the downside here on the daily chart. If we go down here to the hourly chart, you can see more about what that looked like. Basically the inverse of what stocks did today. So the dollar dipped down quite a bit as stocks rallied, and then once it rallied back up to resistance, that's when stocks started dipping again. It seems like if we can get a nice little breakdown off of this resistance line, going back to the 4-hour chart to see that a little bit more clearly, if we get a breakdown, get through these moving averages here, that should spell a nice little rally for stocks. Moving over here to bonds, once again, TLT selling off pretty dramatically, basically in a straight line over the past 2 days. Getting extremely oversold here. The RSI is all the way down at 22.15, well past that 30 oversold. And it seems like this is due for a bounce. If we can get a nice little bounce in treasuries, that should be good for stocks. Usually that's not the case. Usually they are inverse of each other, but right now they are moving in the same direction. And this seems pretty oversold to me. Had this big kind of wave down here and then a further wave down. Seems oversold, but of course, bonds have been in a tough place for quite a while. Something to keep an eye on going into tomorrow. And lastly, here for bonds, we do have J&K. This is probably going to be one that stays in the rotation. We're right at that support level. Did get the doji right here at support. We get a nice bounce off of support. That should be good for stocks going into a Friday. There is potential for the turnaround. We're kind of sitting right on that 144 EMA after the break that we had on 18 October. That's really going to be what I'm looking for. If this breaks down past support, look out below. We're going to see a lot of downward movement in stocks, and it's going to be time to close up any of those bullish positions and wait to see if we get another bottoming type formation. Finishing up with the VIX here, you can see we did get that big movement down and volatility is starting to come out of the markets. I expect a couple more legs down until we hit this support range here in the 2750 area. But we didn't get the rally that I was hoping for, despite the fact that the VIX came down from all the way up at 31.28 down to below 30. So we'll just have to keep an eye on the dollar. It seems to be the driving force right now. And then if we can get that nice little bounce in J&K, there is potential for more upside. But definitely at a critical point for a lot of these charts, and we're going to have to pay attention pretty closely to the markets tomorrow. Moving over to my accounts, you can see we were down just a little bit across both of my accounts, only $32 down on my individual account, and then a little bit more on the IRA. That 174 put is definitely putting a little bit of hurt on me right now. But I did roll down the calls just to help cover down on some of those losses. Tomorrow, hopefully we get a rally. I can take off these puts, or I can get executed on these calls and get down to just a 100 share position versus where I'm at right now. Definitely not great for the IWM today. And then looking at the NASDAQ, you can see a lot of green on the charts, except for that extra 100 shares that I purchased and sold a covered call against it immediately. I kind of thought that breakout was going to be what I was looking for yesterday, and then it pretty quickly failed, and I didn't take that position off in the way that I should have. Otherwise, you can see I'm collecting a lot of credits here from my Option positions, I probably should have taken some of these put positions off. I'm a little bit longer going into Friday than I want to be, and that's something that I'm going to have to pay attention to. Probably should have taken off the 265, 266 puts and then rolled down some of these calls just to be in a little bit better position. Going into tomorrow, not terrible, being down only $32 in my main account, but could have been better for sure. Definitely didn't need that second share position. But anyway, live and learn. Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you put any stocks down in the comments that you want me to go over in the future. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.